The salt-laden wind whipped across the pier like a ghost from forgotten storms, carrying whispers of lost dreams and shattered promises. Elias Hawthorne stood there, his frail hands clutching a faded photograph that trembled in the gusts, his eyes once sharp as a mariner's compass now clouded with the weight of 80 years and a regret that burned deeper than any ocean abyss. "Take me there," he rasped to the young sailor mending nets nearby, his voice cracking like old timber. "To the place where I once held everything and lost it all in a single night." The sailor, a sturdy man named Jack with sun-kissed skin and calloused hands from years battling the Atlantic, paused mid-knot. He looked up at the old man, whose face was etched with lines that told stories of tempests both at sea and in the soul. Jack had seen his share of wanderers at this Maine harbor, drifters chasing ghosts or fleeing demons, but something in Elias's gaze, a raw desperation mixed with quiet resolve, stirred an unfamiliar pity in his chest. "Where's that old-timer?" Jack asked, wiping sweat from his brow. "The sea's a big place, full of nowhere and everywhere." Elias's lips quivered as he unfolded the photograph, revealing a younger version of himself arm in arm with a woman whose smile could light the darkest lighthouse beam, and a boy no older than 10, grinning with the innocence of endless summers. "Blackthorn Island," he whispered, the name rolling off his tongue like a curse and a prayer intertwined. "Off the coast, where the fog hides secrets and the waves guard memories. I haven't set foot there in 60 years, not since the night the storm took them from me." His voice broke, and for a moment, the pier seemed to sway with the rhythm of his grief. Jack hesitated. Blackthorn Island was a forsaken speck on outdated charts, rumored to be cursed by locals who spoke of shipwrecks and vanished souls. Fishermen avoided its jagged shores, where reefs lurked like predators beneath the foam. But the old man's plea tugged at Jack's heartstrings. He remembered his own grandfather, lost to the sea's merciless embrace, and the hollow ache that followed. "It's a fool's errand," Jack muttered, but he stood anyway, coiling his ropes. "Winds are picking up, and nightfall's coming. But if you're set on chasing shadows, I'll take you for a price, and no promises." As they boarded Jack's weathered sloop, the Emily Rose named after a sweetheart who'd long since married another, Elias felt a surge of life pulse through his veins, mingling with the fear that had kept him anchored to the mainland all these decades. The engine coughed to life, and the boat sliced through the harbor's calm waters, heading into the open sea where the horizon blurred into eternity. Elias sat at the bow, the photograph pressed to his chest, his mind flooding with visions of that fateful night. The hurricane's roar, the crashing waves that swallowed his wife, Amelia, and their son, Thomas, as their small cottage on the island crumbled into the abyss. The journey began under a sky streaked with crimson, as if the heavens themselves bled for what was to come. Jack steered with practiced ease, his eyes scanning the swells for signs of trouble. "Why now?" he called over the hum of the motor. "After all this time, what calls you back?" Elias turned, his eyes glistening. "A letter," he said, pulling a yellowed envelope from his coat pocket. "Arrived last week, and signed, but the words. They spoke of forgiveness, of secrets buried on that island. It said, 'Come home, where you once loved, and find peace.' I thought it a cruel joke at first, but dreams haunt me." Amelia's voice, Thomas's laughter. "I must know if there's truth to it, or if I'm just a mad old fool courting death." Hours passed as the mainland faded into a distant memory. The sea grew restless, waves slapping against the hull like impatient knocks on a door long sealed. Jack shared tales of his own to fill the silence. Adventures in distant ports, loves won and lost, the thrill of outrunning squalls. But Elias's stories poured out like a dam, breaking how he'd met Amelia on this very pier, a spirited girl with hair like autumn leaves, dreaming of a life beyond the fishing nets. They'd eloped to Blackthorn, building a home from driftwood and determination, raising Thomas amid the wild beauty of isolation. "It was paradise," Elias murmured, "until the storm. I was out fishing when it hit. By the time I returned, the cottage was gone, dragged into the depths. They said no survivors, but I never found bodies. Just this photo washed ashore." As dusk enveloped them, the first hints of Blackthorn emerged through the misty silhouette of craggy cliffs and twisted pines, like fingers reaching from the grave. Jack throttled down, navigating the treacherous approach with gritted teeth. "We're here," he announced, dropping anchor in a sheltered cove. Elias rose unsteadily, his heart pounding as if to escape his chest. The island's air was thick with the scent of pine and salt, unchanged from his youth, stirring a whirlwind of emotions. Joy at the familiar, terror at the unknown. They disembarked onto a pebbled beach, the crunch underfoot echoing like accusations. Elias led the way inland, his steps faltering but determined, guided by memories etched deeper than any map. The path wound through overgrown trails, past ruins of abandoned shacks where seals now claimed residence. The cottage was up ahead, Elias said, his voice trembling. But as they crested a hill, a gasp escaped him. There, amid the wild grasses, stood not ruins, but a modest house rebuilt, with lights flickering in the windows like beacons of impossible hope. "Who lives here?" Jack whispered, his hand instinctively reaching for the knife at his belt. Elias approached, knocking on the door with a hand that shook violently. It creaked open, revealing a woman in her 50s, her face a mirror of Amelia's strong jaw, kind eyes, but lined with the passage of time. "Grandfather?" she said, her voice breaking the night like thunder. Elias staggered back, the world spinning. Who are you?" he stammered. The woman stepped forward, tears streaming. "I'm Eliza, Thomas's daughter. He survived the storm, washed up on the mainland, raised by fishermen. He rebuilt this place, searching for you all his life. But he passed last year, leaving me the island and a letter for you." The revelation hit Elias like a tidal wave, twisting his grief into a kaleidoscope of joy and sorrow. Thomas had lived, a family he never knew existed. As Eliza invited them in, sharing stories of her father's unyielding search, Elias felt the chains of regret begin to loosen. But deeper questions loomed: who sent the letter? And what other secrets did Blackthorn hold? Inside the cozy home, warmed by a crackling fire, Eliza poured tea with hands that mirrored her grandmother's grace. She spoke of Thomas's life, how he'd been found half-drowned, amnesiac at first, but memories returned in fragments. He'd become a sailor himself, marrying late, fathering Eliza in his 40s. "He always said the sea took his family but gave him back purpose," she said softly. Jack listened in awe, the twist of fate reshaping his skepticism into wonder. Yet, as the night deepened, a subtle unease crept in. Eliza mentioned strange occurrences: ghostly lights on the cliffs, whispers in the wind. Father thought it was grandmother's spirit, unrest. Elias's heart clenched. Could Amelia have survived too? Or was this island's curse playing tricks? They decided to stay the night, Elias in his old room, now preserved like a museum of lost time. Sleep came fitfully, dreams blending past and present. In the wee hours, a noise roused Hema soft, sobbing from outside. Slipping out, he followed it to the cliffs, where a figure stood silhouetted against the moonlit sea. It was not a ghost, but Jack, staring into the abyss. "Can't sleep?" Elias asked. Jack turned, his face pale. "This place, it reminds me of my own losses. Lost a brother to the waves years ago. Never forgave myself for not saving him." The confession bonded them, two souls adrift finding solace in shared pain. Dawn broke with revelations. Eliza revealed the letter's sender, herself, prompted by her father's dying wish. "He forgave you, grandfather. The storm wasn't your fault." Tears flowed as Elias embraced her, the family chain reforged. But the island whispered more: a hidden cove where Amelia's locket washed up, inscribed with love eternal. As they explored, the story unfolded layers of humanity. Forgiveness mending broken hearts, the sea's cruelty balanced by its gifts of second chances. Elias felt reborn, the weight lifting like fog in sunlight. Yet, the journey was far from over. Whispers of another survivor, a recluse on the island's far side, hinted at deeper mysteries. With Jack and Eliza, Elias pressed on, the pier's call echoing in his soul. The sun climbed higher, casting golden rays over Blackthorn's rugged terrain, illuminating paths Elias hadn't trod since youth. With Eliza at his side and Jack trailing curiously, they ventured toward the island's eastern cliffs, where rumors of a hermit dweller persisted among mainland gossips. Elias's steps grew surer, fueled by the night's emotional torrent. Holding his granddaughter's hand felt like grasping a lifeline thrown across decades. Eliza shared more as they walked Thomas's journals, filled with sketches of the lost cottage and poems lamenting the family rift. He blamed the sea, not you, she assured, her voice a soothing balm. But Elias's mind raced. If Thomas survived, could Amelia have too? The thought ignited a spark of hope, fragile as a candle in the wind. They paused at an overlook, the ocean sprawling below like a living canvas of blues and whites. Jack pointed to a distant shoppy, small boat bobbing near the reefs. Someone's out there, he said, squinting. Binoculars from his pack revealed a lone figure casting lines, hooded against the spray. The recluse. Eliza wondered aloud. Descending a steep trail, slick with moss and memories, Elias recounted happier times. Picnics on these very rocks, Amelia's laughter mingling with the gulls' cries. She was my anchor, he said, voice thick. Jack nodded, sharing his own tale of lost lovey, a fiancé, claimed by illness, leaving him to wander the seas alone. The shared vulnerabilities wove a tapestry of camaraderie, highlighting life's fragile threads. Reaching the cove, they found the boat beached, its owner nowhere in sight. A makeshift hut nestled in the rocks, smoke curling from a chimney. Knocking yielded no answer, but the door swung open, revealing a Spartan interior, nets, books, and a wall of faded photos. Elias froze. One image showed a young woman, unmistakably Amelia, older but alive in expression. A voice from behind startled them. What do you want? An elderly woman emerged from the shadows, her face weathered but eyes sharp as daggers. Mother! Elias gasped, the world tilting. It was Emiliano Ghost, but flesh and blood, survivor of the storm's wrath. The twist shattered Elias like glass. Amelia explained, swept away, she'd clung to debris, washing up on a passing ship's route. Rescued. Amnesiac, she'd built a new life on the mainland, only returning years later to Blackthorn, believing Elias and Thomas perished. I thought I was the only one left. She wept, collapsing into his arms. Emotions surged: joy at reunion, anguish at lost years, anger at fate's cruelty. Jack and Eliza watched in stunned silence, the family puzzle piecing together. Amelia had become the island's guardian, living reclusively, her presence the source of ghostly legends. As they talked through the afternoon, stories intertwined. Amelia's struggles, Thomas's searches, unknowingly close but never connecting. The value of resilience shone through how each had endured, holding on to love's embers. Jack, moved, confessed his own unresolved grief, finding catharsis in their saga. But shadows lingered. Amelia revealed a hidden journal, detailing a shipwreck survivor from that night, a mysterious man who'd helped her, then vanished. He spoke of debts owed, she said cryptically. Curiosity piqued. They resolved to investigate the island's northern ruins, where old wrecks lay buried. The group bonded over a simple meal in Amelia's hut, laughter mixing with tears, forging new memories atop old scars. Elias felt whole, the pier's distant call, now a symphony of redemption. Yet, the sea's secrets whispered promises of more revelations, drawing them deeper into Blackthorn's heart. Sunset painted the sky in fiery hues, mirroring the passion reignited in Elias's soul. With his family old and new found, they trekked northward, the path overgrown but inviting. Human connections, fragile yet enduring, illuminated the way. Moonlight bathed Blackthorn in ethereal silver as the group approached the northern ruins, remnants of an ancient lighthouse toppled by centuries of storms. Elias walked between Amelia and Eliza, their presences a bridge across time's chasm, while Jack led with a lantern, his seafaring instincts alert to hidden dangers. The air grew cooler, laced with the tang of rusted metal and forgotten histories. Amelia broke the silence, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. The man who saved Mayhay called himself Harlan, said he was a wrecker, luring ships to doom for salvage. But that night, guilt overtook him. He pulled me from the depths. Elias absorbed this, the twist adding layers to the storm's narrative, not mere nature's fury, but human folly intertwined. Reaching the site, crumbled stones loomed like silent sentinels. Jack probed the debris, uncovering a weathered chest half buried in sand. Inside, gold coins, tattered maps, and a locket matching Amelia S. Harlan's perhaps? A note fluttered out. Forgive the sins of the sea. I return what was taken. The discovery electrified them. Harlan, it seemed, had atoned by safeguarding the island's secrets, his ghost stories a veil to protect treasures and perhaps survivors. Eliza's eyes widened. Father mentioned a benefactor in his journals, anonymous funds that helped rebuild. Could it be? As they delved deeper, a sudden rumble shook the ground, a hidden cave revealed by shifting sands. Venturing in, lanterns casting dancing shadows, they found etchings on walls. Names of lost souls, including Thomas's and Amelia's, crossed out as if marked safe. At the cavern's heart, a shrine with candles and mementos, Harlan's lair. But the man himself appeared, not as specter but living relic, bent with age. You've come, he croaked, emerging from alcoves. The confrontation was tense. Harlan confessed his past crimes, the storm his breaking point. I saved who I could, your wife. Then your son, guiding him to shore unseen, lived in shadows, repaying the debt. Elias's rage boiled, years stolen by this man's silence. Yet, Amelia's gentle touch stayed him. He gave us back to each other, she urged. Forgiveness bloomed, a profound human act, transforming vengeance into understanding. Harlan, relieved, shared his final secret. Buried artifacts proving the island's history as a haven for the lost. The night unfolded in revelations, bonds strengthening amid the ruins. Jack, inspired, vowed to chart Blackthorn anew, turning curse to legacy. Elias embraced Harlan, the twist of an unlikely ally emphasizing redemption's power. Dawn approached as they returned, hearts lighter, the pier's memory now a starting point for healing. But one last enigma lingered, a map hinting at underwater treasures, promising adventure and closure. The sea's rhythm pulsed with possibility, human spirits resilient against its vastness. With the map in hand, the group set sail at first light on Jack's borrowed dinghy, heading to coordinates marked in faded Inca-submerged reef, where Harlan claimed the storm's true toll lay hidden. Elias stood at the prow, wind tousling his hair like an old friend, Amelia beside him, their fingers entwined after decades apart. Eliza and Jack handled the oars, Harlan watching from shore, his atonement complete in guiding them. Diving gear scavenged from the ruins allowed Jack to plunge into the crystalline depths, bubbles trailing like ascending prayers. He surfaced with artifacts, a ship's bell from the wreck that night, engraved with names of the doomed. Among them, a journal Elias's own, lost in the chaos, chronicling his love for Amelia and dreams for Thomas. Reading aloud on the boat, Elias's voice quavered, entries of joy, then despair, ending with a vow to never forget. The find cemented their saga, a tangible link to the past, underscoring love's endurance beyond loss. Back on the island, they gathered around a bonfire, sharing the journal's wisdom. Eliza spoke of continuing the legacy, turning Blackthorn into a sanctuary for the grieving, a place where stories heal. Amelia nodded, her eyes on Elias. We were once broken, but the sea mends what it takes in time. Jack, transformed by the journey, proposed staying to help build this vision. I've chased horizons long enough, time to anchor. His decision added warmth. The group a found family forged in adversity. As days blurred into a tapestry of rebuilding, repairing the cottage, planting gardens, Elias reflected on the pier's fateful ask. What began as a quest for closure bloomed into rebirth, teaching that human connections defy even the cruelest fates. Twists had reshaped him, granddaughter's revelation, wife's survival, redeemer's confession. Each amplified emotions, highlighting forgiveness, resilience, and love's quiet power. On their final evening before returning to the mainland, for Elias insisted on sharing this miracle, they stood at the cliffs, watching the sun dip into the sea. Where once I lost everything, Elias said, I found it all again. The sailor, now friend, smiled. And the journey continues. But as they prepared to leave, a distant sail appeared, another seeker, drawn by whispers. Blackthorn's call endured, a beacon for wandering souls. In this, the profound humanity, we are all adrift, yet capable of guiding each other home.